Welcome to Birth Collective Stories, where my mamas share how the Hypnobirthing Australia techniques help them achieve a beautiful birth no matter how that birth unfolded. From natural births to inductions, cesareans and VBACs. Let's normalise stories that are positive, empowering and inspiring. The first story that I'll be sharing is my own story. If it wasn't for my positive experience, I probably wouldn't have become a Hypnobirthing Australia practitioner and wouldn't have met these amazing mums who will be sharing their stories over the next few weeks. I hope that these stories will give you some inspiration, get you feeling uplifted and excited for your birthing day. I'll start with the days leading up to the birth. So I was over 40 weeks and I went in for my 40-week checkup. Everything was fine and the doctor started talking stretch and sweeps and cervical exams and getting things started, which I declined because I didn't feel like there was enough evidence for me to do that. So I declined and she said that's fine, but you will start going in for daily monitoring on Sunday. So I would be like 40 weeks and 5 days. And that's when you go into the hospital and you have the 2 straps on you to monitor the baby's heart rate and to monitor your contractions as well, just to make sure baby is all good in there. So that was supposed to start on the Sunday. I went in on the Sunday. I was quite happy to remain pregnant, so I was in no rush. I knew baby was going to come when he was ready. But I went in. It was annoying to kind of like sit there for a few hours waiting for them to have enough data, but we got through it and I thought that's fine. I'd rather this than getting induced unnecessarily. So after everything was done, the midwife there was like, "Oh, did you feel anything?" Like, not really, I was just having Braxton Hicks. And she's like, "Oh, okay, you sure there was no pressure or anything? Because I could see it like on the monitor that it was going up." And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "All right, well, yeah, just call before you come in tomorrow for your checkup, but we might see you before then." My stomach just felt like it was getting tight if you've had Braxton Hicks before. So it didn't feel like anything, but I just went about my day. We went to a barbecue after that. And then I started to notice as we were chatting with our friends that like every half an hour, I'd look at the clock, every half an hour I would have a Braxton Hicks. Yeah, I tried not to focus too much on it, but I would just glance at the clock and then kind of take note. But I just continued, tried to enjoy myself and went home, and then I thought, I better go to sleep early just in case. And at midnight, I woke up with a surge. So I was calling my contractions surges. I woke up with a surge and I was like, okay, maybe it's happening. I don't know. But I tried to sleep again and I thought, oh, it's getting a bit too intense now. If it's keeping me up, it's got to be something. So I called my dad to organise babysitting, to get my mum to come here to mind my daughter while I was labouring, and he was like stressing out and stuff, and I started crying and I thought, oh, this is so stressful. I want to be calm. So I woke my husband up and I said, you deal with this. I put my tracks on, I laid in bed and I just tried to sleep. So that's one tip. One tip for you is organize the babysitting and get your husband to do everything so you don't have to stress. But anyway, yeah, just try to keep resting because I knew it might be a long road ahead. So in between my surges, I would just doze off a little bit while listening to the affirmations. And then probably around 3 o'clock, it got quite intense. So I moved into the lounge room. My mum was here by that time and she was just sleeping on the couch. on this very couch, and I was doing a few different things. So I was sitting on the exercise ball and rocking or doing like spirals while my husband was doing the light touch massage, listening to the tracks. Lights were off, everything else was quiet. Nobody was asking me questions, and it was just like a really nice atmosphere, and I was really enjoying it. I was very focused and it was starting to get intense, but I was enjoying it. And we called birth unit, and she asked me how painful it was. And so if you're not calling it pain, and if you're not calling it contractions, you can sound super duper chilled on the phone to a midwife. So I was like, it's intense, but it's okay. Like I'm managing. And she said, just stay home until it's unmanageable, and take a Panadol, which I didn't, because there's no evidence to say Panadols actually work, and it can actually increase your labour, the length of your labour. But I said, okay, whatever. And I just continued, but I started packing my bag, but I noticed it took me a very long time to pack the bag. So I would walk and then I'd have to stop because I had a surge. And then I would get something and pack it in the bag, and then I'd have to stop. So everything was taking quite a long time, and that's because they were getting close together and I required lots of focus. But I packed everything, went into my daughter's room, packed her stuff, and then she woke up. And I thought, oh shit, she's awake. She's gonna notice that I'm gonna leave soon. So I just laid with her and put her back to sleep. And I'm not gonna lie, when lying down, the surges were quite strong. So it wasn't the best position for me, but I just felt like I needed to give her a cuddle and lay with her and just settle her. And I got pretty emotional because I thought, this is the last time that she's going to be my only child. So I was getting a bit teary and stuff, and while breathing through the surge. So that was hard, but yeah, I was just trying to enjoy that moment. And they started getting stronger and stronger while I was laying with her. So I think definitely that oxytocin, because we were cuddling, and I was thinking loving thoughts. So that was kind of progressing my labour even further. But anyway, then I went out back to the lounge room once she fell asleep, and I noticed I couldn't sit anymore. So I had to lean forward now. So lean forward on the birth ball, or kneel on the floor and lean over the couch. And then I just felt like this instinctive need to bounce. Sounds pretty stupid, but you just feel that urge. So I just started like bouncing while I was on the ground, lying on leaning over the couch. I was just bouncing, and then waters broke everywhere, which was pretty cool. But then I thought, oh shit, I think it is time to go. And by this point, my husband was, I think it had been an hour or two, he was saying, we should go. And I thought, no, it's nowhere near as intense as it was for my daughter, and I was only 1 centimeter when I got to the hospital. So that's what I was measuring it against. And I just thought, like, no, I only want to go when it's basically showtime. So, but then when my waters broke, I knew it was time. So we quickly got into the car. It was about 15 minutes to the hospital, and I had 3 surges in there. And then we stood out front of the hospital waiting for someone to open the doors because it was after hours and they were closed. It was a private hospital. So I think while we were waiting, I had about 3 or 4 surges out the front. And then we went into the hospital. Midwife didn't really take me seriously. She was like, are you sure your waters broke? I said, yes. I've never peed that much in my life, so it's got to be waters. And I don't think she believed me because I was just so calm. And every time I had a surge, I would just close my eyes and breathe. I wasn't making noises, so I didn't I don't think she took me seriously, and she just left us alone, which was good. So I got to the hospital 5:30. She checked me at 10 to 6 or 5 to 6, and she said, "You're nearly fully dilated. I'm going to call your doctor, but she's not going to make it." So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't really believe that I was there, because it really wasn't as intense as I thought it was going to be, just when comparing it to my first. But I just felt like I needed to go to the toilet. So I got up, I went to the toilet, I sat on the toilet, and then all of a sudden I just started pushing. There was no, so it was that expulsive reflex, the fetal ejection reflex that you just experience when it's a natural physiological birth. Your body just goes and starts pushing without you even feeling like controlling it. So I started pushing on the toilet, and I yelled, "I'm pushing!" So they came and got me. The midwife and my husband came and got me. They took me to the bed. I got on all fours, and I started to breathe and bear down with the surges. So every time I had a surge, I would breathe, bear down, and then it felt like one push and he was out, but it was actually 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, he was born, and he was 4.3 kilos, massive baby, and straight afterwards I said, "That was so easy."
You're amazing. That's a good sized baby, sweetheart.
It wasn't easy, but I was just comparing it to my first. It was easier than I thought. It was intense, like an intense workout or something like that. That's what I would compare it to. But it was really amazing. And yeah, so he was born straight to my stomach because the cord was too short, so he didn't fit to my chest. But as soon as the cord was clamped, after maybe 15 minutes, then I put him on my chest, breastfed straight away. And yeah, so after that, because I only tore naturally, so I had a 2nd-degree tear, and then my doctor made it for stitching me up. So she got to the hospital, she stitched me up, and she said, "Well, this is what you wanted. I know I missed the birth, but this is what you wanted. You wanted it as natural as possible, so you didn't need me." So that was really cool. She was really happy for me. After a few hours, I had a shower, and then we went to maternity suite or maternity ward, and we spent a few days there, and it was just really nice to see the difference when everything went so calmly. I could see the difference in my baby. He was a lot more calm. It was much easier for him to latch. We didn't experience as many breastfeeding issues. But the postpartum little love bubble was like bliss in there. And my husband didn't stay because he stayed with my daughter at home. But it was just really nice to have just me and my son having a little bonding few days together. And after 3 nights in the hospital, we were discharged and we got to go home.